And by, by 2042, the aviation industry is going to be it's almost going to be $1 trillion a year, 800 billion. And there's going to be about 10.8 billion passengers globally a year. The demand for pilots is increasing. While I mentioned the autonomous, for commercial products with 200 people flying on board, I don't think any regulatory environment is going to say, okay, let's do autonomous, but we could potentially go down to one pilot with an assist. So pilot demand is very, very high. Today, the average age of a pilot in the global fleet is 51. Where are these young pilots going to come from? India. Our average age is like 29, and the rate of, we're going to be a young population for another 40 years. So huge demand for pilots. Orient Flight Academy and others are going to be a part of a wonderful journey of producing pilots. Boeing is investing $100 million in pilot training in India alone, because that's a huge demand and need. So that's a really good news story for all of us. And I already talked about the commercial fleet, going from 700 to 2,400 in the near future. But the key thing is that this is going to require a variety of jobs, right? From engineers to technical mechanics to, seamstresses, for interior products and so on and so forth. And universities like Hindustan are a vital pipeline for companies like Boeing to produce that talent that are going to really help us meet that demand, because the demand is growing exponentially. So very, very important partnership that we've had for many, many years with Hindustan University. We have a ton of alumni working at Boeing in Chennai. Now, as we continue to think about the future, there are really two types of future. One is a knowable future. We kind of can predict what's going to happen, in the next 5 to 10 years, right? In some cases, we can be good guessers. But there's also an unknowable future. One example, which many of you might be worried about, is artificial intelligence. That's hugely disruptive. Is that going to take my job? And I'll tell you, my bias is that HI, human intelligence, is always going to be better than AI. Okay, that's my bias. So what are the skills that we as human beings need to inculcate for the future, for the unknowable future, so that we cannot be replaced by machines, right? And frankly, it's going to be tough for a few people if your job can be replaced, right? So we always have to think about what are those critical skills that we need to navigate for ourselves, for our kids, so that they are able to contribute in big ways in the future. So some of the things that come to my mind are decision-making is very, very important. And management association, managers, leaders in the room here, you have a vital role to play. Sometimes your boss might treat you badly and you feel, but you have a vital role to play, because when you're making decisions, you incorporate your values, the values of the company, right? And a machine can't do that. They don't understand values. And so you make some decisions where the machine algorithm might say, get rid of Lavina. You might say, no, she's going to be a valuable asset, and I see the potential. I'm going to make a different decision. She's got the right values. And so one of the things that I tell my team is I will always take a low performer with the right values over a superstar with the wrong values, because I can always coach for performance. I cannot coach or teach values. You either have it or you don't, right? That's a critical role that managers and leaders will play. Critical thinking, because machines produce volumes of data, really trying to understand and digest. So one of the skills we'll need to have is digital intelligence to know signal from noise. But again, the human in the loop do a better job at making understand the nonlinear relationships between the data, right? Machine, again, unless is hard for a machine to do. So human beings will always be in the loop, and especially when it comes to, imagination, creative thinking. Machines can copy what we do, but they can't generate and develop, at least at this point, right? So let's think about how we can solve those big picture systems and nonlinear problems, because the data points will and emotional intelligence skills. Those are what's needed for the future and where we can have a better future, where we can coexist with AI and big data, but not be replaced by them. Okay. We'll watch this video and then we'll wrap. Oh, before we hit play on this, I'll also say this about the future skills. As you think about AI, as you think about other disruption, I want you to think about the word fear, but not fear as the word, but fear as an acronym. You can either fear everything and run away, or you can face everything and rise. Fear as an acronym, face everything and rise. So we have a choice to make. The picture here is an autonomous drone that we are using in Boeing with airlines to do maintenance and inspection in hard to reach areas and unsafe areas. But there's always a place that we can, exist with technology and lean into the future. All right, so let me talk a little bit about Boeing in India through a video. There we go. Let's see if this works.
The legacy which we see from the Boeing company, its presence in India has been more than 8 decades. What we are trying to do here is not just build our future, we also look at the future of the country.
Always try to make things safer, make things better, make things faster. That's the motto. When you look at what we are trying to develop as a team, it excites me because the technology what we are building here, we are doing something which is going to change the world.
What we are trying to do here is cultivate the culture of STEM in more and more young minds so that we can contribute to the future of aviation in India, for India and for the world.
A sense of pride, connecting the entire world with all our hearts.
So let me conclude here by just sharing with you that Boeing does not build products. We carry the hopes and dreams of humanity on our shoulders and move humanity forward. For me, aviation is the human spirit taking flight. Thank you.
Yes, sir. There are, very interesting talk, and I think.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, we can do questions. Sure.
Yeah, within a short time, I think you unfolded almost everything from history to the current developments in the aviation industry. And there are some interesting questions which actually I'll read for you.
Sure.
So I think you can just expand what exactly these people are asking and answers will be. As the aviation tech sector transition towards sustainable aviation fuels and hybrid electric aircraft, what key breakthrough are needed to make these technologies scalable and economically viable for widespread adoption? This is a question from Harish Saidapet.
Wonderful question, Harish. Thank you for asking it. It's a very important question. sometimes when we think about renewable energy, think about solar energy. You need miles of space and field to set up solar panels, right? Or when you think about electric technology, it's very, very large. And so for something to fly inside an aircraft, it has to be scalable and impactful. So the volume really, really matters. But more than even the volume, it is the safety element of it. Aviation and aerospace, I can talk about space as well, but is a very harsh environment. For aircraft that fly in low Earth orbit, we have requirements that go from minus 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry, I need to get into Celsius, but minus 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So because you think about an aircraft sitting in Qatar or in Dubai, just soaking up the heat and the sun, and then it has to take off and perform just perfectly and each time, every time. And so those are some of the biggest challenges is scale and a harsh environment to be able to be reliable in a harsh environment are the two biggest challenges.
Thank you very much, sir. Second question from Sheila Madurai. As a certified project management professional, PMP, how do you approach managing large-scale multidisciplinary projects in a fast-evolving sector like aerospace? Could you share some insights on this? I think it's a quite challenging.
Yeah. Wonderful. So, and this has nothing to do with PMP, but I'll say, just from a leadership standpoint, I was once at an event and someone asked a really tough question, which was, can you describe leadership in one word? Maybe you can take 30 seconds to think about what word you would choose. For me, the word I chose was clarity. And the reason is because the opposite of clarity is doubt. Doubt drives distrust. Right? Why did he say this and not that? Why did she look at me like this? And distrust destroys teams. So from a PMP angle, one of the artifacts that's very helpful is a project charter, right? To really understand what is the right problem that we're solving. Because one of the issues that I see happen a lot is we are ready to solve problems, especially engineers, and we dive into the problem solving without really figuring out what is the right problem. Are we solving the right problem? So the charter is very, very useful. The other part is when you're building a team as a project leader, you want to have diversity on that team because those are, and especially I love people who are the troublemakers because they're seeing things that I'm missing. So so while some people say I'm just going to, be comfortable, I actually choose the people with divergent thought. And there's a great book by Dorothy Kearns Goodwin called The Team of Rivals about Abraham Lincoln. He built his cabinet with people who lost the election against him. You literally think about Rahul Gandhi and Prime Minister Modi on the same team. It's ridiculous, but that's what he did. So again, from a project management skills standpoint, building a clear problem statement, building a wonderfully diverse team will be two critical elements to your success. And then, of course, the scale at which we do projects and portfolios are huge within Boeing. And so I'll say, because it's a very complex machine. One aircraft has 3 million parts. And 3 million parts flying in perfect formation at 40,000 feet. That's what an airplane is. So clearly a lot can go wrong. And one of the keys to success is documenting assumptions. Because during the development of a product and program, assumptions change, right? And so writing it down is very, very important. Managing to a baseline and updating that baseline, having that discipline is really, really critical. So I'll stop there. I can keep going on, but
I thought it's a very difficult question, and you took more time to answer this, but it's a good thing.
Thank you, Srinath, for asking it.
One more actually on the strategic objectives. Balaji from Sri City is asking, with industry exploring new initiatives such as autonomous aircraft, sustainable aviation fuels, and supersonic travel, how does Boeing Engineering India align its strategic objectives to stay ahead of these trends?
Wonderful question. Who asked it?
Balaji from
okay.
Sri City.
So I touched upon how we think, right? So there's two ways to think. One is left to right. How do I take this bottle and improve it? And so we always think about, okay, I need to make this 10% better, right? We think right to left. What is the mission? and how do we get closer to that mission? And it's a different way of thinking about it because you're thinking with the end in mind, not how do I go from where I am today to 10% better. You're now saying, what's the end? End state might be 90% improvement, and you have to radically change your approach, right, than the incremental thinking. And one of the things that helps that I mentioned to you was envisioning 2116, envisioning 2047, understanding key parameters, being in tune, and always making sense of the world in terms of what is happening in universities, other companies across the world. Globally, the world spends $1 trillion a year on R&D globally. And so we are absolutely plugged into that whole ecosystem to shape it or learn from it and also, influence it and bring it in. And then lastly, the, discipline with which you innovate within the company as well, because you have to continually sponsor and push people to a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
So that's how we're always trying to stay ahead of the game.
Oh, so these questions are actually around technological advancements as well as strategic management.
Yep.
There is one more actually on the future adaptation of artificial intelligence. How is Boeing integrating artificial intelligence and machine learning into its engineering and operations to support the future of autonomous aircraft and enhance overall efficiency? This is from Sahil, Bangalore.
Wonderful, Sahil. Okay, so artificial intelligence, as we know it today, and machine learning are really based on NLP. Some of you would have heard the term, natural language processing. So essentially what we've done is we've trained these computers on however many books have been written in human history, however many websites we have. And it's really a language model. It is really a language model. So what you can do is you can prompt it to say, how do I give a speech at this? And I didn't do that, but how do I give a speech at MMA? And it'll give you a script, a wonderful script with beautiful words, and most of them will make sense. But when it comes to engineering or any other technical field, it's absolutely dangerous to utilize artificial intelligence. So what Boeing is doing is essentially in-house developing AI, ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning to train the data sets on our technical data that we've developed obviously over 108 years around flight controls and atmospheric behaviors and all of those kinds of things. And over time, we will utilize and leverage that to aid and facilitate an engineer in the loop to make better decisions. So think about maybe people in your office. Maybe some of them are spending 20 hours a week, half of their time on non-value-added work, maybe responding to emails, responding to things that are quote-unquote simple. But we want to maximize that our engineers spend time on the right decisions, on the tough technical problems, not 2 + 2 = 4, right? Let the computer handle that. And so, for example, AI/ML is helping us author, maybe do 50% of certification plan authoring or something to that effect, which takes away all the admin tasks that an engineer would do. But when it comes to the technical analysis and the technical execution, that is 100% engineer in the loop.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And due to paucity of time, a few questions I'll summarize and ask you so that you can go through that. And I really understand that there is a lot of interest, many of enthusiastic, listeners are here. Probably we can also interact with them during this. This is regarding how is Boeing fostering culture of innovation and adaptability in its global and Indian team. This is from Yuvraj. And there is another interesting question from VK Swami, MMA member. He's asking how soon air taxis find application in Indian cities. So I think you already answered, but once again,
I don't think I answered how soon. So, okay, good questions. I'll start with the second question on the air taxis because that's an easy one. We can only go as fast as the regulatory organization. So it may be FAA in the US, EASA in Europe, DGCA in India, and the regulatory agencies determine how fast we can go. So I've obviously shown you that we've got proven technology and we've been using it, but how soon it'll happen in India is really up to them and how soon they're ready to certify product. On the first question was...
And the skill, how are you making skill development in India and also...
In skill development and globally,
globally.
So scaling innovative thinking is challenging, but it's not. So a part of why we're in India, I mentioned the market, but many people think we're here because the market is the third largest market and we're going to go from 700. We're not here for the market. Even if India wasn't buying any planes, we would be in India. Why? Because we have the best engineers in the world. We have some really important, and not just engineers, non-engineers as well, for those of you in the room. We have talented people. So we're here actually for the talent, not because of the market. And so as we think about our global strategy, it is really about understanding and tailoring our strategy to where the talent is. And we, at least I'll speak for the India office, we not only do work that's for India, in India, by Indians, but we also do work for the world from India, right? And so the same goes for Germany and other places like that. Thank you. So that's a part of the global strategy. Yep.
Yeah, I'm tempted to ask the last question, with permission from sir. This is from Nikhil Rao. This is Jairaj, GM retired SIL.
Okay.
So nice. And I just wanted to ask this question because it's my question also. Lot many colleges are offering aeronautical engineering courses, but only a few will end up in aeronautical profession. What is your take on that?
Many people don't know, for companies like Boeing, Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, only 4% of the graduates are actually aerospace, aeronautical graduates. Most of the work is done by electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and other fields. So there's really, and when people ask me, especially young, passionate people ask me for advice, you have to read, because I was passionate about airplanes ever since I was 3. I still have the first toy. It was a broken toy. It was a hand-me-down from my brother. And I still have that, and I treasure it. But I've been obsessed with airplanes ever since I was. And if you have that level of, commitment and passion, aeronautical is good. But if you're just looking to be in aerospace, you don't have to have an aerospace degree. And you can contribute in many, many ways in the supply chain or in the production system without being an aeronautical engineer. From another mindset, you might think you're more portable because you can more easily go to other industries and sectors if you don't have an aeronautical degree. But for me, the world is really around passion. It doesn't matter if there's 0 jobs. If you're passionate about something, you invent something. There was no airline, so Dr. K.C.T. Verghese invented an airline. That's what you do, So the world, you will create the opportunities rather than waiting for them. So follow your passion.
Thank you very much, sir. Over to the group captain.